One of the people in my office already in the auxiliaries introduced me to a man who was in civilian clothes but turned out to be a major, and I was invited to join a new organisation being formed called the Scouts, just right after Dunkirk, when they decided there was going to be an invasion very shortly. I was working for the British Admiralty in Bath. My patrol was Bath Admiralty number 4 patrol.
And how many people now?
Well, normally a patrol consists of 6 people, but mostly number 4 seemed to have about 5. There was Wiggy Bennett, Masters, Pusey, Reese, Jack, somebody, I can't remember his last name.
Oh, yeah.
I remember his feet used to smell terrible. The night we spent in the ROB, and he poisoned us. You went to Coleshill for some specialised training, which was pretty rough. They made you crawl along between wires, and then somebody hit with a machine gun was firing just above your heads. So if you did happen to look up, you'd rather get your head blown off. So to tell you to keep down, crawl and keep down, and they showed you various ways of destroying things, blowing things up. The big hooker was that you would get eggs and bacon for breakfast, which were a very short supply in England. But they didn't tell you how to cook them yourself. And the bacon had maggots in it, but you just scraped the maggots off and cooked it. The operational base was in Prior Park, which is a large park. There had been a monastery years ago, centuries ago. It had been taken over by private people during the dissolution of the monasteries. The original owners had built a Paladin Bridge, which is a false bridge over a lake, and the Napoleon prisoners of war were billeted there under parole, which meant they could walk around town, having given their word they wouldn't try to escape. And the Paladin Bridge had their names inscribed on them. ROB overlooked the Paladin Bridge because years ago, before refrigeration, the priests had built an ice chest into the bank overlooking the Paladin Bridge. It was deep in the earth to be insulated. In the winter they would cut ice, store it in the ice chest, and it would last all summer.
And that was your operational base?
And that was our operational base. It had all grown over and completely lost. And somehow I managed to stumble into it. And the original opening had all fallen in, and we used that as an escape hatch and rebuilt it with loose bricks so we could bust our way out, and planted shrubs over it. And we dug a tunnel about 10 feet away that you reached by going down a ladder and then crawling along to the brick ice box. The idea being if they throw a bomb in, they wouldn't go into the icebox. And the lid for the tunnel was camouflaged with earth and a little shrub growing on it. And because the place was almost ready made for us, all we had to do was to build a wooden platform and do some work inside. We were the first ones to try out our observation base at night, and we brought our various weapons and a box of dynamite and the food and a case of beer, and we spent the night there. And it was the most uncomfortable night. We managed to get some sleep. In the morning we were all half dead, vomiting and feeling terrible because the fumes of the dynamite had affected us. They give off a poisonous fume in a confined space. And when this was reported to the powers that be, it was one of the reasons why the auxiliaries got plastic explosives, even the head of the army. Most of the army discussed. The patrol was issued a bottle of rum with the government seal on the lid. It was a stone bottle, stone jar of rum holding a gallon, and you were sworn to not open it unless it was actual operations. Well, during the Bath Blitz, our job was to help dig people out, or at least find the bodies. Not very nice work. We decided that was operational. So one of the fellows in the patrol said his father, during the war, had the same thing. These gallon jugs of rum was standard issue in World War One. He said if you really hit him the right way with a bayonet, you could knock the top off, preserve the seal, and then you could drink the rum. So I had an accident with a bomb. We've turned the empty jug in with the seal intact and got a new one. You made your own decisions, decided what you're going to do. You depend entirely on the situation of the Germans. We had several places we could assume the Germans might use as a base, and we've looked at the lay of the land to see where we could hide round them, pick them off at a distance. We didn't have enough explosives to blow a bridge. You know, a lot of the Home Guard thought they could blow a bridge with a box of dynamite. You need an awful lot. Those old bridges that have been there for hundreds of years. You need a heck of a lot of explosives to blow one bridge.
That plastic explosives you had, did you get practice with that?
Yeah, we didn't have enough. Everything was in short supply. The plastic explosive would be mainly used to destroy German equipment. We used to practice in the various airfields around Bath, crawling in at night and putting little notes on planes and weapons that these had been destroyed. They told you have very little chance of coming out alive. They've estimated the life expectancy would be 2 weeks, and more realistically about 4 or 5 days. But the idea was that the army had taken such a beating at Dunkirk, they had no supplies. They had lots of men, but no supplies. And the only way they could defeat the Germans was to know what part of England they were going to attack. So the object of the auxiliaries was to hold them up so they could find out more or less which way they're going to go, so the army could form up to meet them. We came back to where you worked, and on a certain day you've got all your gear out, laid it down, and they came and picked it up. Of course, what we didn't know, they just kept it. They didn't say, oh, Harry Banham's short of this, and they just gathered it all up, put it in the truck. They didn't care what it was, when they got something. Just a bunch of army fellows going around picking up the uniforms and guns and the explosives you had. I rescued my silencer. That didn't go, but...
And that's gone missing. We're looking for it.
Yeah, got lost somewhere in Canada.
And